1 Samuel 29. The Philistines assembled all their troops at Aphek, while Israel camped at the spring that is in Jezreel. When the leaders of the Philistines were passing in review at the head of their units of hundreds and thousands, David and his men were passing in review in the rear with Achish. The leaders of the Philistines asked, "What about these Hebrews?" Akish said to the leaders of the Philistines, "Isn't this David, the son of King Saul of Israel, who has been with him for quite some time? I have found no fault with him from the day of his defection until the present time." But the leaders of the Philistines became angry with him and said to him, "Send the man back. Let him return to the place you have assigned him. Don't let him go down with us into battle, for he might become our adversary in the battle. What better way to please his Lord than with the heads of these men? Isn't this David of whom they sang and danced? Saul has struck down his thousands, but David his 10,000s. So Achish summoned David and said to him, "As surely as the Lord lives, you are an honest man, and I am glad to have you serving with me in the army. I have found no fault with you from the day that you first came to me until the present time. But in the opinion of the leaders, you are not reliable. So turn and leave in peace. You must not do anything that the leaders of the Philistines consider improper." But David said to Achish, "What have I done? What have you found in your servant from the day I first came into your presence until the present time that I should go and fight the enemies of my lord the king?" Achish replied to David, "I am convinced that you are as reliable as the angel of God. However, the leaders of the Philistines have said, 'He must not go up with us into battle.' So get up early in the morning along with your servants of your Lord who have come with you. When you get up early in the morning, as soon as it is light enough to see, leave." So David and his men got up early in the morning to return to the land of the Philistines, but the Philistines went up to Jezreel. All right. So I was pointing this out when we started 28, that he's saying, "Hey, we're going to go against Israel. You cool with that?" And he's like, "Absolutely. You're going to get to see me fight." And so King Akish is putting him as bodyguard, which means he's up close to him. Now, what is totally interesting as this plays out, Saul totally mistrusts David, doesn't believe David, believes lies, believes things that are untrue about David, has no faith whatsoever, continuously trying to go after him. And there is no just cause for Saul to go after David whatsoever. Akish, on the other hand, completely duped by David, because David has not done the things he's claimed to do. He hasn't done harm to Akish, but he hasn't been truthful and honest. And now Akish believes everything that David says. He 100% believes David. He is so blessed to have David around. He loves having David around. It's like you have two kings. One is the king of your people who believes you're a threat, and you're not. And the other is the king that should be your enemy, who is you're partnering with, who believes you could do no wrong, and yet he should be leery of you. So the Philistine kings are not wrong here in saying, yeah, well, we shouldn't keep David around. What if he decides he wants to please his master Saul and he turns on us? Good logic on their part. So David is kept from the battle. So in some ways, I think this is one of those places where God steps in and he keeps and protects David from being in a circumstance. So David has twice passed the test of Saul being given into his hands that he could kill the Lord's anointed. David repeatedly says, "I will not stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed." Who could stretch out their hand against the Lord's anointed and live? Won't be me. Don't believe it can happen. Not going to do it. And so here, God is taking away any possibility that what happens if David is face to face with Saul in the middle of the battle, what would Saul do? Also, I think there is the he doesn't get to go to battle and watch Jonathan have his life ended. So I think God is sparing him in a couple of different ways. All right, so they're all going in review, and we're looking for defects, and no, you can't be around, send him back. So the king has to come to him, and they're like, hey, by the way, we know the songs. Like, this is what I think is amazing. The enemies know the songs. Saul has struck down his thousands, but David his 10,000s. Like, the enemies know the songs. Like, in some ways, I guess one of the easiest ways to think about this would be if your enemies of the United States military knew the songs, the fight songs, from the halls of Montezuma. You know, if they knew that, and they're like, don't they sing this about the Marines? Why, the Marines are this, aren't they not? It's that kind of a thing. Like, the enemies know your battle tunes. And they're like, we don't want to have him around. So Akish has to confront David. David pleads, what have I done? I've done nothing. And Akish is like, I told you did nothing. I found nothing. But, it's like, tell me, please, what did I do wrong? Like, David pleading a natural way of, like, I'm ready to go. I'm on your side. He's like, yeah, I know. No, you did nothing. All the rest of them, they're terrified of having you along. They're saying you can't come along. If it were up to me, it would be, but it's not up to me. They won't go. So you have to go home. So in the morning, just take your leave, go back home. So David and his men get up in the morning and they go back home. I did notice the place names changed from here, from the previous chapter. So maybe it's they've been assembling and they moved closer together. I don't fully know. I don't get all my maps out. And because partly it's like, do we actually 100% know all the locations? And the answer usually is we don't always. So anyway, they're lining up for battle, and David is going to be sent home. You can't come